Welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm so appreciative to be among all of you with all of you this evening. My vote story, it really started with my grandmother. She was born in 1915. She has now passed away. Her name was Inez Peak Pryor. And she was this advocate. She was determined as an African American female to not only register to vote, but also work the polls. So she was an election worker within the polls. That was even before women were allowed to vote. And if you remember, it wasn't until 45 years later, in 1965, that Black women were allowed to vote. So she instilled that in us. And I learned not too long ago from my father, as I take him to the grocery store every other week, that he says, "You remind me so much of my mother because of your advocacy." Many of you may know I have a news show that actually I was so excited to have Vonnie with me on yesterday. And we talked about advocacy. And I'm always encouraging people, town hall meetings is where you start. Hear what's happening within your community. The PTA, PTO is another area. But the number one thing is that we get involved. Today I had three young ladies who were seniors in high school talking about, although they're not able to vote in this election cycle, they used a word that really hit me in my gut. It was like a gut punch. And they said, we're over the political um, uh, wording because we don't understand. So connecting the system, how do we write this down? And of course, I referred all three of them to Girls Right Now, because I think what you offer to the community is huge. But when we're talking about voting, I've been out every day, knocking on doors, having conversations, using my social media platform, using my website, having that conversation, encouraging people to register to vote, and even taking the opportunity to hear people, even if their stance is from a negative viewpoint. From that, I've had a lot of people say, "You're the first person who listened," which says to me that listening is key, because we need to hear what they're thinking, what they're saying, and how they're feeling. But at the same time, we should arm ourselves with the voter education information that we need to share. I'm amazed today how many people are unaware of how many people serve in the House of the Congress of USA. I'm amazed of how many people have no idea what a filibuster stands for. I'm amazed that no one understands the election process when it comes to the cabinet and Supreme Court nominees. I'm amazed of how many people have no idea how many are numbered for the Senate. And that's a part of the education that we need to continue. And it's taking that opportunity to step back and say, okay, what can we do? How can we continue to have this conversation? Going back to my grandmother, again, she was born in 1915. Growing up, they always shared stories with us. And I love what you all are doing with sharing the stories. And I'm wondering, how do we return to those stories through family reunions, family gatherings, just community gatherings, neighborhood meetings, or whatnot, to just have the conversations and to share those stories. But I'm here to empower, to uplift, to encourage, to serve however I can. But my vote story is always having the conversation, even after the election. Even after we get people registered to vote, now we have to get them to participate and actually engage. And I don't want to leave out that we should also become poll workers if we have that opportunity to do that, because there we can also make a connection, which comes back to relationships. For me, it was myself and my grandmother, and she taught me so much, but for us, it's sharing that conversation one with another. So thank you so much.